Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to your sleep story. I am Theresa, your radical self-love coach. I work with high-achieving women who typically put themselves last to love themselves enough to put themselves first. You deserve to love, cherish, and honor yourself without guilt because your well-being matters. It gives me great joy to be the voice that guides you into a restful sleep tonight. You are so deeply loved. Your existence is the proof. Before we begin tonight's sleep story, let's start with a relaxation session. I'm going to count down from 10 to 1, and as I do, allow yourself to let go more and more. 10. Feel the support beneath you, the support of your bed, the floor, and the earth beneath. Imagine the warm sand of a beautiful beach, cradling you, holding you with the earth's gentle strength. Allow that certainty, that solidity, to enable you to release a little more, to sink into this moment a bit more. 9. You are safe. All is well. Allow my voice to be a point of safety for you. Allow my voice to be an anchor that keeps you in a safe space. Know that my voice will only ever bring you into safe places. Feel into your body now. Notice where you might be holding tension. Maybe your feet, your hands, your face, or your belly. Just release it all. Your body has worked hard for you today. It's time for it to rest. It deserves rest. 8. Today is done. Whatever has been, has been. Whatever will be, will be. All you have is now. So thoughts about the day that just was, or days that are to come, don't serve you right now. Allow that realization to enable you to settle into this moment more. 7. This is your moment. You have nowhere to be, nowhere to go. The only place you need to be is here, enjoying this cozy sleep story and the sound of my voice. You deserve it. 6. You deserve it. You deserve rest. You deserve sleep. You deserve to be here. Allow that fact to help you let go a little more. 5. Perhaps allow yourself to feel a little gratitude now. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude for the ability to rest. Gratitude for the simple things. Your breath, the shelter you have tonight, the opportunity to switch off in a place of safety. 4. Embrace the coziness of this moment, the coziness of lying down in a safe space, moving towards sleep in the beautiful act of storytelling. 3. Begin to engage with your imagine now. Engage with your imagination. Picture a beach in the Caribbean, a secluded spot on the beautiful island of Barbados. isolated from the rest of the world, or another favorite spot that you may have. Allow yourself to engage. Bring that picture to mind and check in with your body again. Make sure you're not holding tension anywhere. Release and allow yourself to sink a little deeper to completely let go now as I tell you tonight's sleep story. Chapter 1. The Entrance of Quiet Wonder. She arrived in the early hush of morning when the world still whispered. A soft gray mist kissed the earth and hovered just above the ground, like silk draped gently over the shoulders of the land. The path was made of old honey-colored wood, planks smoothed by time and softened by dew. Each step she took creaked ever so slightly, a lullaby of welcome beneath her bare feet. Bamboo rose on either side of her, slender and tall, like guardians of stillness. Their pale green trunks swayed slightly, not from any wind, there was none, but from some silent breath the grove seemed to exhale. The leaves rustled in hushed tones, as if exchanging ancient secrets she didn't need to understand to feel. She had come here with no map, only a whisper inside her chest that said, "Go where the air feels like prayer." And here, even her thoughts moved slower. They softened like clouds stretching across the sky after rain. There was no urgency in her step. The path asked for presence, not pace. Each plank felt like an invitation. Feel this, hear this, breathe this. She paused at a bend where a single bell hung from a slender archway of bamboo. It rang not from any hand, but from the breath of the earth itself, a gentle tone that wrapped around her like a shawl woven from sound. Further ahead, the fog thickened and shimmered, not heavy or cold, but weightless, like exhale made visible. It swirled around her ankles, as if guiding her forward with gentle insistence. She reached out and touched a single bamboo stalk. It was cool, smooth, grounding. She felt the quiet strength in it, like a spine that had witnessed centuries without flinching. A small smile lifted the corners of her mouth, not for anything in particular, just for the grace of being here. Birdsong drifted from somewhere far above, delicate and sparse, like a melody half remembered. She closed her eyes, the music of the morning mixed with the rhythm of her breath, slow and even now. The tension that had clung to her shoulders for weeks seemed to slip into the soil, absorbed without judgment. She walked on, and the wooden path led her to a clearing where a minimalist pavilion waited, low, open, and utterly still. It had no doors, no walls, only a sloped roof held by beams the color of tea leaves. Cushions were scattered on the smooth floor like fallen petals. She stepped inside and sat, her legs folding beneath her with ease. The air here smelled of rain, jasmine, and bamboo, the scent of silence growing wild. As she settled, She noticed her breath deepening without effort. There was no ritual to perform, no technique to recall, just stillness. And in that stillness, something inside her unclenched. The question she had not known she carried began to surface. It was not loud or urgent. It didn't demand an answer. It simply asked to be held. What would life feel like if peace were the priority, not the reward? She let it hover like the fog, present, soft, and free. All around her, the grove listened, the bamboo swayed, the air held its sacred hush, and she, a woman, once carried by momentum, now sat, held by stillness. She needed nothing in this moment, no solutions, no strategies, no striving, only this, the sound of her own breath, the warmth of the floor beneath her, and the gentle assurance that being here, just being, was more than enough. The sanctuary did not ask her to change. It simply invited her to return. And so she did. Chapter 2. The breath beneath the stillness. She sat with the ease of someone returning, not visiting, but remembering. The pavilion cradled her in its quiet openness, like a cupped hand catching water. There were no clocks here, no mirrors, no shoulds, only the slow rhythm of breath, hers and the world's, braiding together into a sacred hush. The mist danced at the edges of the pavilion, curling like incense smoke around the pillars. In the center, a single bowl of water sat on a low wooden table. Ripples moved across its surface, though no wind stirred. It was as if the air itself was breathing with her, exhaling in circular waves of stillness. She brought her hand to her chest and felt it rise, then fall. The warmth of her palm against her heart was like a lighthouse flickering back on after a long, invisible journey. She didn't rush the breath. It found its own way, round and wide, like the moon pulling at tides. Inhale, exhale, soft as silk sliding through her fingers. It felt good to do nothing. Not the kind of nothing that buzzes beneath the surface, still aching to be productive, but the holy kind, the kind that says you are not behind, you are not missing anything, you are exactly where you belong. She turned her gaze outward, past the beams of the pavilion, where the bamboo grove swayed in slow conversation with the fog. A dragonfly floated by, its wings a blur of transparent shimmer, like stained glass kissed by rain. It hovered briefly before disappearing into the mist, leaving behind a soft reminder. Even the briefest presence can be beautiful. She closed her eyes again and tilted her face upward. The roof let in the light like a sieve, thin strands of morning gold slipping through to kiss her skin. A single sunbeam landed on her shoulder, warm and weightless, as if the sky was offering her for a blessing. She accepted it without explanation. The tension that used to live in her jaw, her neck, her shoulders, it was dissolving now. Not forcefully, not with effort, just melting. as if the stillness knew how to do what she had forgotten, how to care for her without asking for anything in return. There was movement in her belly, too, not of nerves, but of release, a softness unfurling inside her, like petals stretching open at dawn. She had worked so hard to be composed, successful, useful. But here, in this grove of quiet and mist, usefulness no longer mattered. She didn't need to explain her presence. She didn't need to earn her rest. Her breath deepened again. Each inhale felt like receiving. Each exhale felt like letting go. Receiving peace, releasing pressure, receiving grace, releasing guilt. She thought again of the simple question that had surfaced earlier. What would life feel like if peace were the priority, not the reward? It echoed again, not louder, but clearer now. The kind of clarity that doesn't push, it opens. A single drop of water fell from a bamboo leaf outside, landing with a soft plink into the bowl on the table. That gentle sound anchored her. Time slowed to the space between that drop falling and the ripple it left behind. The air seemed to whisper, even one drop matters. She placed both hands in her lap, her palms open. She was not asking for anything. She was simply available to receive what this moment wanted to give. The fog thickened slightly at the edges again, not ominous, but comforting, like the folds of a blanket pulling in. The bamboo swayed, the bowl held its water, and she, this high-achieving woman, no longer chasing stillness, had become part of it. She stayed there, breathing, soft, steady, whole, not becoming, just being. Chapter 3. Movements as gentle as moonlight. When she finally rose, it was not from duty, but desire. Her body moved slowly, unhurried by shoulds or schedules. Each motion felt like silk unfurling in warm water, fluid, graceful, without destination. A woven mat waited for her near the edge of the pavilion, where the fog thinned into lace and the bamboo formed a soft green corridor. She stepped onto it barefoot. The ground beneath was firm, but forgiving, as if the earth itself had been softened just for her arrival. She raised her arms like the limbs of a willow tree greeting the morning, wrists loose, fingers open. Her breath guided her, not as instruction, but as music, notes rising and falling in her chest. As she bent forward, the crown of her head reached toward the earth, and she felt something surprising, reverence. Not for a god outside of her, but the sacredness within. She had danced in studios. She had stretched in gyms. She had followed routines and flowed through sequences. But this movement was different. There was no choreography, only conversation. Her body speaking to the air, the mist, the bamboo, and being heard. The grove responded in kind. Leaves fluttered in gentle applause. The mist moved in spirals, curling around her like a silk scarf caught in a breeze. She turned slowly, her spine a ribbon uncoiling. As her hands floated outward again, She imagined she was stirring the sky, and in some quiet, invisible way, she was. Each motion felt like a poem written with bone and breath. She circled her wrists, tilted her head, rolled her shoulders. She wasn't correcting her posture or lightening her core. She was softening into herself, into presence, into care. She had never known stillness could move. The pavilion seemed to inhale with her, its pillars holding space like sentinels of serenity. The sun peeked through again, casting long lines of gold across the floor like brushstrokes on parchment. She stepped through the light, and for a moment it looked as though she glowed. She moved into a seated position, legs crossed, hands resting like petals in her lap. The breath deepened once more, eyes closed, jaw relaxed. The fog drifted close again, as if it had been watching, waiting for this moment of full surrender. From the trees, a single bamboo flute began to sing. No musician could be seen, yet the sound floated through the air, clear, slow, and hauntingly tender. The notes rose like steam from a teacup, then disappeared into the sky. She felt them inside her chest, stirring something ancient and kind, something that remembered what it was like to be loved without condition. The melody held no crescendo. It didn't try to impress or inspire. It was enough just to exist, just to be heard, and in that, it gave her permission to do the same. She breathed in again, this time with the rhythm of the music. The sound didn't direct her, it accompanied her, like an old friend walking beside her in silence, needing no words to connect. She stayed there for some time, floating through movement, between stillness, melody, and breath. Her body was no longer something to push or manage or shape. It was a sanctuary, a temple of soft knowing. And in that sacred quiet, another question arrived. Not loud, not urgent, just a gentle wonder that rose like mist from the soil of her soul. What if I honored my body for how it holds me, not how it performs? She didn't answer it. She didn't need to. She simply let it rest in the same place her breath now lived, slow, steady, and full of grace. The mist curled around her shoulders like a shawl. The flute faded back into silence, and the bamboo grove swayed as if nodding in approval. She sat still once more, not emptied, but filled with softness, with breath, with the beauty of being. Chapter 4, Tea, Time, and Tenderness. When she stood again, the air felt even softer, like a lullaby made of light. The mist had thinned slightly, revealing a path just beyond the pavilion. It curved gently through the grove, inviting her forward with the promise of warmth. She followed it, her steps quieter now, as if her body had remembered the language of the earth. Each football landed like a blessing. The bamboo arched overhead in a loose canopy, their slender bodies swaying ever so slightly, as though bowing to her passage. The path ended at a small structure tucked beneath the arms of an old camphor tree. Its design was spare and elegant, a tea house made of smooth wood, warm with age, its walls half open to the grove. A low table stood in the center, and beside it, a single cushion waited as though it had known she would come. She stepped inside and lowered herself onto the cushion. The floor was warm beneath her, the wood faintly fragrant with time. On the table sat a kettle of water, a small ceramic cup, and a bowl of loose leaves, green and curled like tiny scrolls waiting to be read. There was no one else there, yet everything had been prepared. She poured the hot water slowly, watching the steam rise in soft spirals. It moved like the mist outside, weightless and wise. As the water met the leaves, they unfurled into soft ribbons, releasing a scent that wrapped around her like a memory, floral, earthy, and clean. It smelled like renewal. She lifted the cup with both hands, feeling its heat settle into her palms. As she brought it to her lips, the steam kissed her face. The first sip was quiet, warm, and grounding. Not just a drink, but a moment, a ritual, a love letter written in liquid. The tea didn't rush her. It invited her to linger, and so she did. Outside, the wind whispered through the bamboo like a gentle hymn. A bird called once, then fell silent. Time moved differently here, not forward or back, but inward. She wasn't losing time. She was deepening it. As she sipped, her eyes wandered to the details around her. A crack in the wooden table that resembled a river, a smooth stone tucked into a corner like a forgotten offering, a single dried blossom resting on the sill. None of it was perfect, yet everything felt whole. She let out a long, slow breath, the kind that doesn't come from tiredness but from release. What if slowness was not indulgence, but intelligence? The thought didn't rise like a challenge, but like a petal floating down onto still water. It stirred her gently. She had lived too long, so long, in the language of urgency. What's next? What's due? What's possible? But here, the questions had changed. Not what's next, but what's now. She took another sip of tea and let the warmth move through her. Her hands, so often in motion, rested quietly on the table. Her shoulders, usually squared and ready, softened into a curve of ease. Even her breath seemed to sigh with satisfaction. She felt accompanied, not by people, but by presence. The presence of stillness, of beauty, of peace that didn't ask her to earn it. Another breeze drifted through, carrying with it the faint scent of citrus blossoms. It wrapped around her like a ribbon and tugged gently at her awareness, not pulling her away from herself, but deeper in. She looked at the nearly empty cup. The last sip glimmered like a mirror, reflecting a face that looked rested, not made up, not masked, just real, calm, soft-eyed, and whole. She drank the final drop, and set the cup down with reverence. It wasn't the end of a tea break. It was the continuation of a conversation with herself, with her life, with the quiet joy she had forgotten was always available. She remained there, wrapped in steam, stillness, and softness, as the grove around her sang its silent lullaby. And the question lingers sweetly in the air. What if this is what success could feel like too? Chapter 5. A garden of gentle knowing. She followed the winding path as it softened into moss beneath her feet. The mist shimmered in ribbons now, drifting through the air like breath made visible. The world felt hushed and sacred, as if it too were exhaling with her. Up ahead, the grove opened into a hidden garden. No gate, no sign, only the quiet invitation of color and stillness. Wildflowers spilled across low stone walls, their petals like watercolor brushstrokes. Ferns bowed low beneath the weight of dew, and a thin stream trickled between smooth pebbles, humming to itself in a lullaby of light. She stepped inside as though stepping into a memory she hadn't lived, but somehow remembered. The garden welcomed her gently. A wooden bench waited beneath a canopy of white blossom trees, each branch trailing like silk sleeves in the breeze. She walked toward it slowly, her fingertips grazing soft leaves, velvety petals, and the curved edge of a stone warmed by sun. She sat and let herself be still again. The bench held her with the kindness of something that had waited a long time, asking nothing. Sunlight filtered through the trees above, dappled and golden like melted honey. It flickered across her skin in quiet rhythms, each patch of light a small blessing. A butterfly glided past, its wings moving like lace in slow motion. It hovered for a moment near her shoulder before drifting away, as if content simply to be near her stillness. The garden did not bloom in perfect rows. It meandered, lazy, lush, unrushed. Tiny buds opened without fanfare. Stones rested where they had always been. The stream moved just enough to keep singing. Everything here seemed to move by breath, not by clock. She tilted her face toward the sky, and a breeze passed softly over her. It carried the scent of something sweet and green, perhaps lemon balm or the faint trace of bamboo sap. It filled her chest, then left her lighter than it found her. There were no tasks here, no timing, no need to make meaning. The moment was enough. She leaned back, letting her spine curve easily, her hands resting open in her lap. Her eyelids lowered like curtains at the end of a play, not from effort, but from ease. Behind them, soft colors moved like water. Roses, creams, and quiet greens. Her breath flowed like the stream, unhurried and sure. A single blossom drifted down from the tree above her. It landed beside her on the bench without a sound. Its presence felt tender like a hand reaching out, not to hold, but simply to be near. The longer she sat, the more she noticed. a trail of ants moving through moss with quiet determination, a dragonfly tracing circles above the stream, a snail gliding across the surface of a leaf, its pace the definition of peace. Everything had its rhythm. Everything belonged. She stayed there as the shadows stretched and the garden settled deeper into itself. There was no need to speak, no need to move. The beauty of the garden wasn't in its grandeur, but in its quiet, its willingness to be enough without changing a thing. And so she stayed, breathing, noticing, resting in the softness of it all. The fog began to return, drifting low and silver, gathering around her ankles like an old friend come to carry her gently toward sleep. Chapter 6. Return by Moonlight. Everything, excuse me. Chapter 6. Return by Moonlight. Evening had arrived quietly, like a soft hush falling over the grove. The light turned silvery and thin, the kind of light that doesn't ask to be noticed, but gently wraps itself around everything, like a shawl worn for comfort, not display. She rose from the garden bench slowly, without effort. Nothing pulled her forward, yet something inside her moved with grace and quiet certainty. The path before her was bathed in the pearly blue of twilight. The mist had returned in full, low and dreamy, curling at her calves like smoke from an ancient fire. The bamboo swayed more slowly now, as if the day had sighed into the arms of night. Each leaf shimmered with moonlight, casting dappled silver patterns on the path. She followed them, not out of duty, but as if responding to a lullaby only her body could hear. Above, the moon hung low and round, suspended like a pearl on a thread of stars. The sky had deepened to indigo, and the first sounds of night had begun to sing. Crickets, the soft ripple of the stream, a breeze that carried the scent of jasmine and memory. She passed once more by the pavilion, now empty, glowing faintly in the moonlight like a dream remembered. Her footprints from earlier had softened into the wood, barely visible. It felt as if the sanctuary itself had memorized her presence. No part of her wished to hold on or rush back. This wasn't an escape or a high to chase. It was a return, quiet and whole. She reached the place where the path first began, where the bamboo stood taller and the mist opened into space. But something different now, not in the grove, but in her. She had not changed exactly. She had softened, unfolded, remembered. She paused. The fog shifted around her ankles and a breeze kissed her cheek as light of the whisper of a feather. The moment stretched, not forward, not back, just here. She felt no urgency, no dread, no need to catalog what this had meant. The grove had not given her a lesson or an answer. It had given her something rarer, an experience, one that asked nothing, one that reminded her she was already enough. She stood in stillness for a long time, eyes wide, breath steady, and then, as the moonlight traced the path before her, she stepped into it, as if stepping into her own reflection, calm, certain, and full of grace. Every footfall was a goodbye and a homecoming. The bamboo did not call her back. It didn't need to. What she had found was not bound to this place. It was already woven into her breath, her bones, her being. A single wind chime rang softly in the distance, one last note sung just for her. She smiled, not with her lips, but with some quieter place beneath them. A smile that needed no witness to be complete. She disappeared into the night as gently as she had come. No fanfare, no grand farewell, just the hush of the fog, the shimmer of moonlight, and the soft sound of a woman walking home, not to her house, but to herself. The bamboo grove stood silent once more, but if you listened closely, you might still hear her breathe in the wind. You might still feel her softness in the ground. And you might still catch the whisper of the sanctuary, singing to anyone ready to receive. Come back when you need to remember. Come back when you're ready to be held. Come back whenever you wish. And the mist carried the message on, like a lullaby, like a promise, like a dream, gently, eternally, at peace.